The San Francisco 49ers just completed the biggest comeback in conference championship history, winning 34-31, 17-point comeback. And I think one of the biggest stories of the game has to be Brock Purdy, who early on wasn't having his best stuff, wasn't really completing passes, kind of looked overwhelmed a little bit. But as the game weighed on, as he got settled in, Brock Purdy started to play a lot better. And obviously you have to give credit to Christian McCaffrey, who played a great game. Nick Bosa was one of the stars on a 49ers defense that kind of hasn't really been there in the playoffs up to this point. Nick Bosa really stepped it up and was one of the few bright spots for the 49ers defense. But to me, the story should be the 49ers playing in Super Bowl 58 solidifies their decision to draft and trust Brock Purdy as their starting quarterback. There was a situation where Trey Lance was in the building a long time ago, former 3rd overall pick out of North Dakota State. A lot of people thought he was going to be the guy. And to be real, Trey Lance is bigger, faster, and stronger and throws a more explosive football compared to a Brock Purdy. But Shanahan and the 49ers, got to give them credit. They said, yeah, we don't think it's going to work. The guy that was the last pick in the draft is the better option. And no one should be questioning it at this point. They said, yeah, Trey Lance really talented. We traded up for him, but we got to move on. Brock Purdy's got more NFL stuff to his game, at least up to this point. You know, Trey Lance, he was one of those stories where the cookie dough just needed baking a little bit longer. He wasn't quite ready. He needed to develop. Meanwhile, you have Brock Purdy. You know, the presentation of the meal wasn't quite as aesthetically pleasing, I would say. But, I mean, the product, once you start tasting the cookie, you know, it's better. And it's more reliable. And a lot of head coaches dream of landing a Patrick Mahomes type quarterback. That's everyone's ultimate dream. A quarterback that can just kind of be like a video game. You know, do everything, make every single throw, elevate you, run around. The playbook is completely open with a guy like Patrick Mahomes. However, some head coaches just want a quarterback with some decent upside that is accurate, makes good decisions, can run occasionally, and someone who is coachable and can maximize their system. That is what Brock Purdy is to Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan loves Brock Purdy. I mean, it's the best of both worlds, too, because I think Brock Purdy really loves Shanahan because Shanahan dials up really good plays and puts Purdy in a really good position to succeed. And I think it's fair to say the best partnerships in life are when two individuals are together and they ain't afraid to get down and dirty, not only with each other, but for each other. You know what I'm saying, okay? But there's these narratives surrounding Brock Purdy where it's like, oh, Brock Purdy, he isn't really very good. You know, he's an average quarterback, game manager. Yeah, I don't believe it. Okay, fine. You know, who cares? They're playing in the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy as their starting quarterback. Brock Purdy did the same thing Jimmy Garoppolo has done in a shorter notice of time. And to be honest with you, in more adverse circumstances, Jimmy Garoppolo was able to hand the ball off to his running backs. And what did he throw, like 8 passes in one game in an NFC Championship game versus Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely. I'm not going to say he was completely carried, but for the most part, Jimmy Garoppolo was just riding the bus. He was not driving the bus very, very much. It was the defense, Robert Saleh being the coordinator, and Kyle Shanahan being the leaders of that team. Meanwhile, you have Brock Purdy. There's been times where Shanahan has been forced to have to rely on Brock Purdy's arm and Brock Purdy's legs and Brock Purdy's ability to make plays to actually advance in the playoffs. You got to give Brock Purdy some credit. And let me tell you something right now. Brock Purdy, this is only his second season as a starter in the NFL. His first full season as a starter. This Super Bowl window is wide, wide open with Brock Purdy. You can continue to build around Purdy because he's on a rookie deal still, you know, and I think Brock Purdy is on pace to prove everyone wrong. There could be a scenario where Brock Purdy outplays Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, And everyone's going to look at this and say, man, what do we do with this situation? Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. If that happens, boy, will that shake the NFL world. And at that point, you have to just tip your cap to the 49ers if it happens. Already at this point, I think you should be tipping your cap to the 49ers because the only people it seemed like that believed in Brock Purdy were the people in that building. All the outsiders said, oh, Brock Purdy, game manager, Trey Lance should start, and yada, yada, yada. Purdy comes in, ice water in his veins. And listen, I'm not saying Purdy is this elite quarterback or anything, to be very, very clear. There's a lot more he needs to do to be put in that category. But I think Brock Purdy has earned his keeps in the NFL as a starting quarterback. He's really, really good, and I think he's a franchise quarterback. Not saying he's elite, not saying he's in the Patrick Mahomes tier, but this is a franchise quarterback that you can win with, and he has a lot of upside, in my opinion. And I think Purdy can only get better and better. And in these situations, it's very, very interesting. There could have been a situation where you looked at Purdy and said, man, he's a front runner. He's only good when the 49ers are up big, and McCaffrey and Debo and all these guys are making plays. Purdy has had to actually elevate his game and fit balls in the tight windows and actually make plays when it matters. Shanahan's had to unleash the guy. And Purdy has made the plays when needed. And we're going to get 49ers versus Chiefs in Super Bowl 58. And boy, oh boy, can I not wait. It would be very great to see Brock Purdy and the 49ers win a Super Bowl together. I will be rooting for it, but only time will tell. And I'm excited to see what happens going forward. But all I'm saying is, I think it's fair to say up to this point at least, the 49ers made the right decision rolling with Brock Purdy to be their starting quarterback. And we'll see where this goes because I'm excited. Well, folks, that's pretty much all I have today. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Once again, follow me on social media if you have not already. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends if you enjoy. Have a God bless day. Stay safe, everyone. And I'm Ghost.